And Trump literally said that we need to fight like
not
hell.
say storm the Capitol.
Tim is angry.
I know.
These protests from far leftists, like at the Capitol, like in Kentucky and Tennessee. Do you think the storming of those capitals is the fault of people like Vosh? NYPD orders full mobilization plan. All uniformed officers are on standby as extra manpower is deployed to ring of steel around Manhattan's DA's office amid fears of violence after Trump's indictment.
When I see that, I just think massive cope spiral. That's what's happening with the New York DA. Cope.
I really don't think that New York City is MAGA country enough to the point that they have to worry about a bunch of Trump supporters showing up to the Manhattan DA's.
No, cope spiral.
Yeah. So anyway, I find this funny because let me see if I have this this tweet somewhere. Where is this?
I think people are just like so paranoid they just don't want to risk it, right? Like January 6th was such a disaster, and it was a disaster at like multiple levels of failing to be ready for what was going to happen. I think for New York, they're probably saying like better safe than sorry, because oh my God, if something got repeated where they weren't ready, it's just going to look so bad on everybody involved. You know?
Sure, we have this video coming out of Tennessee where a bunch of leftists stormed the Capitol and fought with police. They actually made their way into the chamber in what conservatives are calling an insurrection. So, I mean, that's basically it. Look, they're fighting with cops and people are getting arrested. And it happened in Kentucky, too. But like this happens all the time. I mean, it's funny. There were numerous protests by the left where they actually were banging on the doors of the Supreme Court or actually went inside to the congressional buildings and shut down legislative sessions, and they were never considered that big of a deal. And even right now, it's like the media's not covering this like it's that big of a deal to shut down your capital. State capitals, I guess, don't matter. I don't know what.
Well, it matters, but just how much does it matter?
I mean, the media is covering it, right? That was a video by the media, right?
Yeah, someone posted it. Was Kelsey Gibbs? Yeah, Kelsey Gibbs posted it and then deleted it. Greg Price got a copy of it and reposted it, and then maybe she reposted it again. It looked like it really wasn't super violent. I don't think anyone got hurt. I can't
typically
tell.
What we mean when we say like the news doesn't cover it is that like sure local outlets may run the story, but is it getting headline attention? Is it getting primetime attention? Is it?
It didn't shut down the authorization of the new president of the United States, which was what January 6th was. They were trying to like slow or stop the counting of the votes to get Biden elected or something like that. So it was like a federal election. That was what made that one such a big deal. I think plus it was high profile.
Yeah, it was kind of goaded on by our president. I think it was a big deal too.
He did say Donald Trump was involved in setting it up directly. You know, not the violence,
when he said
but
peacefully march to listen to politicians.
Yeah, just getting the people in the vicinity. He was.
I do appreciate Ian immediately saying why it's different to Tim. Like, well, it's not really the same thing. They're not good, but it's different.
I think it was when he said
Trump is innocent.
There you go. Trump
Well, that's good.
There you go.
Go Ian.
Go Ian.
For months that they were going to steal our election from us, and we need to fight like hell to keep it. I think it was more that than the march peacefully thing. But
he said march peacefully, and there was a permitted rally at the Capitol.
Okay. How can you go? Okay, we're backing up a little bit.
Yeah,
How can you take the one thing that Biden said on stage one time as definitive proof that he was actually trying to withhold aid, but the numerous
He literally
statements,
said he did.
and Trump literally said that we need to fight like
not
hell.
say storm the Capitol.
He didn't say storm the Capitol.
Look, Tim is angry.
I know. I forgot this whole section.
Look, we almost stopped too early.
In those exact words.
And Biden
but he
said
said
in
we
the
need to
exact
fight
words
like hell. He said we need to fight like. What does fight mean?
If
does
Joe
it mean
Biden said,
be obese and stand at the Capitol?
Yeah, it's not an argument. If Joe Biden said on stage, could you imagine if I told this guy I did this and everyone went, oh. No, he literally said he did a thing. And we're like, hey, if he said he did that, we should investigate. Trump said fight, and then later, now go march peacefully. It's like, well, those are metaphors. The left says fight all the time. We don't mean physically. We mean spiritually. We mean politically.
It's that was followed up by months of saying that like they're going to steal the election from you. You have to.
So, I don't think it's a good comparison for Destiny to make. I don't see them as comparable. I understand what he's trying to say. I don't think it's a good analogy or a good comparison. I think you can make an argument that Trump was very negligent in what he was saying, right? He was very negligent in the accusations he was making about the election, and that negligence led to people being outraged, and that led to people like breaking the Capitol. But I think it's very different than the claim that he was intentionally trying to get people to break into the Capitol.
Yeah,
I don't
agree.
think that was the case. Yeah.
No. He just wanted him to march peacefully.
Well, I mean, part of the reason I don't think that was the case was I don't think Trump is so stupid. Like, to me, you'd have to be really stupid to think that like a group of protesters could like break into the Capitol building and change the outcome of the presidential election in America that way.
Yeah,
That's not going to work.
Delusional.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's only going to backfire on you. So I don't think Trump is stupid. So I don't
Right.
think he would be advocating for something like that.
Right.
Now, maybe once it happened, he had a very much like, let's see what happens. I'm not going to involve, I'm not going to really do anything to stop it. Right.
Mhm.
Maybe that happened, but I think it's different than like the intentional incitement to people breaking in the first place.
He was doing it through democratic means. He was basically wanted a show of force to show how strong the MAGA movement was to
Yeah.
Pence to basically say, if you don't do what I want, your political career is over. You're like, you'll never win another election.
I would not say that's a democratic process. So if Donald Trump's intention was, I'm going to get, thousands of people outside the Capitol, and that show of all those people is going to pressure Mike Pence into essentially violating the law and throwing out the ballots.
Right.
To me, that would be an illegal action by Trump.
But in Trump's crazy mind, though, it's not a violation of the law. He's basically totally bought into this conspiracy theory that there's this secret loophole that he's found in the Constitution where Pence can just come out and do whatever he wants, name whoever he wants for president. And if Pence doesn't do this, it's political suicide because the MAGA movement is so strong and the voters are so energized. And it's also a threat that he's going to campaign against Pence wherever he shows up. That's why I'm saying it's a democratic.
You think that Trump thought, now obviously we're both speculating here, right? 'Cause it's mind reading. You think Trump thought that he could get Pence, by having enough people show up, he could get Pence to throw out the votes on January 6th?
Yes.
Okay. I
do believe that.
I don't think that. I think Pence made it clear. I believe this was reported.
Yeah,
now,
Pence
of course,
told him
Trump
straight up to his face. He said,
know.
what you're asking for isn't even legal.
Right. And I know Donald Trump is delusional, so who knows?
Yes,
if that has an effect,
there you go. Unmoored from reality.
Unmoored from reality, right.
This is totally legal, Pence. What are you talking about? I have my attorney right here.
I think Trump's motivation was more on the idea of he doesn't want to ever go out looking like a pussy. He doesn't want to go out looking like he didn't fight. And especially if he was planning on running again, he would want it to be like, I went out fighting. I went out swinging. Like, no one could say I went gently into the night.
He totally, then that's the stupidest thing ever because he looks like insane running again. Like his chances of winning this election in 2024 are 10 times better if January 6th never happened.
No. What I'm saying is, I think when I'm saying he wanted to go out fighting, I don't mean that he wanted people to break in the Capitol. I mean just that he wanted people to show up and protest peacefully outside the Capitol.
Right, yeah.
And so that he could continue the narrative that the election was stolen, that he believed the election was stolen, so that if he did want to run again, or if he just didn't want to run again but wanted to maintain his old legacy, he could retire comfortably or run again on the idea that I went out swinging, it was stolen from me.
So you don't
it
think
was a
he was
scam,
trying
blah,
to
blah,
pressure
blah, blah, blah.
Pence into using the fake electors?
I'm not sure that he actually honestly
I
thought Pence would change his
100%
mind.
believe he
But okay, maybe.
he was doing everything to pressure Pence. He even said multiple times, if Pence does the right thing, and I hope he does the right thing here, what do you think all that's about? He said that literally in his speech.
No, you're right. I just think that was more, I think that was more pandering.
I disagree.
Okay, maybe Trump was literally that unmoored from reality that he thought that
He still is. He's still.
Maybe he is. Maybe Trump was that unmoored from reality.
Could have happened.
He thought Pence could have.
Look,
he thought Pence not only could have but would have done that.
He is probably the fact that they did this bill to make sure that nobody ever does this January 6th thing again. Probably says to Trump. He sees that and he goes, oh, there was a loophole there.
Right.
And they recognize it. And now they're sealing it up because they knew that what I did was legal. That's probably what Trump is telling himself.
It is annoying to me that, like, for the people that are like just the 100% Trump defenders. Like Trump
Are you looking at the
literally
chat?
No, I haven't actually been. But I'm just saying in general, not in our chat. I'm saying in general.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Trump could have essentially, if here's the problem, if anyone in Trump's administration actually did what he wanted,
Yee.
then they could have brought the country to the brink of like a civil war or potential civil war. Like
Nobody listened to him.
I know that's like the only reason that we didn't have a potential civil war when Trump left office was because basically everyone around him thought he was crazy or stupid.
Right. And that's the thing when you got the best of the world.
Kind of wild.
When you got the best of the world on Twitter talking about how you guys as a centrist are just covering for fascists. It's like,
I know.
Bitch, who's the fascist? Nobody did anything Trump asked for. Nothing. The only people that did were like Sidney Powell, and she was bonkers.
Right. Yeah. And when he wanted to make her, the lead investigator,
nobody,
on the stuff, they all said, if you do that, we're all going to quit, and you're going to have like a literal graveyard of people that are, manning these offices.
This is decentralized power at its finest, and I love it.
Yeah. Right. To me, all this is a good example of our institutions protecting us from some authoritarian, dictator, essentially, some strongman kind of taking power and saying, I'm going to be, violate the law essentially to this extent.
Like, you don't think that type of rhetoric can directly lead to people saying like, our election is being stolen, like Trump said it was being stolen, and we need to fight, like go to the Capitol and fight to save our country?
In that line, do you blame trans activists for calling for fighting when this person went and shot up a church or a grade school?
For the trans shooter?
Yeah. I mean, they've been saying it's genocide nonstop over and over again, and they've been saying get up weapons and you have to fight. It's
but I don't know
thing,
why.
right?
I don't know why that shooter did the shooting. Do you?
So the police said there's a manifesto, and that
they did say that.
The working theory is it's related to the identity.
He changed the topic. Damn it.
Yeah. Wait. Why did he bring up the shooting thing?
How do we
move to this topic already?
Because he said, "Well, what about all?" He said, "What about all the incendiary commentary around trans genocide?
Gotcha.
What about all that stochastic terrorism?"
Right. That definitely contribute. Well, it could. We don't. Again, I think it's fine to play it safe. We don't know what the manifesto says. I think Destiny specifically goes over this, right?
Yeah.
So.
Of the shooter.
Okay, you said two. Wait. You said two totally different things. Are the police saying that it was?
Yes.
Okay.
So I want to be very specific.
Yeah. I'd be curious because I read 4 different articles. I was trying to find out was anything from this manifesto released. I know the media is saying they should release it.
They will.
My
release
understanding
it.
is the police has not commented on the material in the manifesto. What did they say about it specifically?
It was the police chief, I guess. He was asked specifically, did the gender identity of the shooter play a role? And he says the theory is that is the case. We're investigating, et cetera, et cetera.
I heard that.
That's actually what he said.
Okay, I don't know what that means. Like, because it could mean what you're saying. So let's say that in the manifesto, they're right. They're saying things like, I've been watching a whole bunch of YouTube commentators like Vosh saying that there is a trans genocide and I need to go and take action to prevent that. Then I would say that's horrible. And people that are saying it, actually, fuck, even if they didn't say that, people that are saying there's a trans genocide and we need to fight should be held accountable. I think that's a bad thing. If you believe in stochastic terrorism, I think that's definitely that. But if it's
I feel like that he threw Vosh under the bus.
Totally. I love it. Go Destiny. Woo!
That's funny.
something like where the person is like, oh, like I'm trans and people in my life don't accept me, I'm gonna go shoot up a school. I think that's meaningfully different than inspired by rhetoric from people calling for violence, right?
So when we see these protests from far leftists, like at the Capitol, like in Kentucky and Tennessee, do you think the storming of those capitals is the fault of people like Vosh saying you got to take? I don't know if Vosh ever said that.
Well, my understanding is
activists.
the storming of those capitals was for gun reform.
Kentucky was trans rights. They were holding up trans rights signs.
Was it trans rights?
Absolutely.
I thought they were doing it in response to the shooting.
Sure, but no. Kentucky was that they're banning. I think it was Kentucky, right? That they're banning.
It might have been in
sex changes
Kentucky for Tennessee. I think it was for firearms, right?
Tennessee was firearms, but it overlapped with that issue. It was primarily a firearms protest. So let's just say Kentucky, the storming of the Capitol there, where they're in the gallery and they're being arrested and they're holding up trans signs. Do you think the suspense of that, the inhibition of that legislative session and the storming of that Capitol is the result, is the fault of leftist activists saying take up arms and go fight?
Sure. If somebody is storming buildings, I think they should be held legally accountable. They're trespassing. They absolutely should be. And I think that people that are using alarmist rhetoric to get people to go and fight, whether that's Donald Trump or whether that's far left people on YouTube,
Did
I think
Vosh
should
do
also
that?
be. Yeah,
Or
he
you
does it
just-
all the time. It's one of the things. Yeah, of course.
You got to be careful
Well,
about
hold on,
alarmist
because
rhetoric.
Hassan does it, but he says only in video games.
Well, unless it's an imminent call, like vague calls like, hey, go do this thing, that's not illegal. That's protected First Amendment. But if you say, on this day at this time, do this thing, then that's an imminent threat. I understand that's illegal under the First
Sure.
Amendment.
The issue that
Not
I have
under
is
the
a
First
general
Amendment, under
alarmist
Supreme Court
rhetoric.
precedent.
Where there's a lot of people saying that there's a transgenocide incoming, so buy firearms. That feels a little bit like great replacement rhetoric, except on the left instead of the right to me. Where people on the right sometimes will say things like, immigrants are invading, they're taking everything, you need to buy firearms to protect yourself from spooky immigrants that are replacing white people. That feels similar to people saying there's a transgenocide, buy firearms because Republicans are going to take your rights away. That type of like, any type of rhetoric that is basically stating that like your life is on the line, buy a gun, in my opinion, is like very, very, very unhealthy for the state of the country.
Based.
I agree. I don't like the metaphor fight for your rights. It's been around my entire life. You got to fight for your rights. And in the United States,
That's Beastie Boys. Wait a second. You gotta fight for your right to party. Yeah, no.
It's fight for your right to transition.
That's what it became. That's what it is now.
There you go.
So sad. Does he know that that's Beastie Boys? Because he said it almost correct here. Here, back it
did.
up a little bit.
Line, buy a gun, in my
it is.
opinion, is like very, very, very unhealthy for the state of the country.
I agree. I don't like the metaphor fight for your rights. It's been around my entire life. You got to fight for
Fight
your
for
rights.
your
And in
rights.
the United States, they literally did 250 years ago. Sure. And throughout the ages, they have had to do that. They have done it literally with weapons. And so the idea that we need to,
Okay, so they're trying to
You
pass.
gotta fight.
Dun,
Poor Ian. God, I would love to get Ian on the show. Why won't Ian come on the show? Come on the show, Ian. It'll be fun. Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips.